Good morning, stars. Welcome to the Cord. Game
Bon
comes.
après-midi, mes amis. Bienvenue à la stream français.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can't speak French.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Game Club's official podcast.
yeah, I can't. I took French for a semester. Boy, I missed that class.
you talk about it a lot, but
I
this
do.
week
It was a fun class.
it's just me and Quentin today. Or I guess Quentin, will you recall him from episode 2? He is back.
Hey, I'm back.
Following the pattern
Hello,
from last
friends.
time with just Daniel and Lima, we're doing that general thing for a few episodes.
Yeah, because, everybody's kind of given up, and
Okay.
they had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to get me out. So, Caesar, in the topic of gaming, there's been a recent trend lately, you'll notice. A few months ago, oh man, time flies fast. A few months ago, Fallout 76 released a huge update that added the game to...
that the idea of games releasing more game like No Man's Sky and Fallout 76 and all that. I don't like it. I'll say it straight. I think a good example of recent times is definitely Pokemon Sword and Shield and the Isle of Armor. That's the new update.
Yeah, with all the paid DLC, because I haven't actually played the game. I have the game, but it's still in the box, just like my copy of Fallout 76. And it's still
Where it
pretty
belongs.
unopened. Yeah, and like from what I've heard, people were very underwhelmed with the actual level of content in Sword and Shield. They were expecting more. I've heard it didn't have as many Pokemon as some of the original games, and seeing that, like having to get DLC to get what you initially paid for, I'm not necessarily a fan of that.
Yeah. So the issue a lot of folk have with it, and what I have with it is so the game when it first came out, a lot of fan favorite Pokemon weren't there. Pokemon like Staryu, Garchomp, Salamence, a lot of those Pokemon that people love from their generations and associate with, they weren't there, and it was frustrating for a lot of people. So when Nintendo released the DLC and said, "Hey, do you miss Staryu and Sharpedo and Slowpoke? You can pay $30 now and have him back." And
Ugh.
yeah, it was upsetting, and I didn't buy the DLC because I couldn't get to the game. It was so boring. But Ben got through it, and he says that the DLC is okay. The new area is fun, but the fact that this is what frustrates me. After you unlock the new legendary Pokemon and get him, to continue the game, you have to grind him from level 5 to level 70. The fact that I have to pay $30 for DLC and then proceed to grind for like 4 hours to unlock the second half of the first DLC, like, come on.
See, I think that's the thing about DLC. It's supposed to be additional content, It's supposed to be something that they're like, hey, you really like this game, this initial game that you paid $60 for? How about you get like another quarter of that and you give us like $20, But it shouldn't be like this could have been released in the initial game. Like, there was a big scandal with Minecraft Dungeons in that there was DLC that was unreleased already in the game files.
Oof.
And it's like, why isn't this just in the initial game? That game only has like 9 levels initially, I
Yeah,
think.
like it fits in the game already. It's already in there. So why are you like not just giving it to us already? Corporate
Yeah, definitely.
pigs. Yeah, I think especially nowadays, it's hard to find good DLC, like good that feels appropriate and isn't like forced type of thing. I think some
Definitely.
games that do it right are games like BF1 that did it. Oh my god, those DLC were amazing and they weren't that expensive. You pay 10.
I never played the first Battlefield.
Oh, the World War one.
Yeah, I played the World War II one, Battlefield 5.
Yeah, but that game, you pay $10. I believe it was $10, and then you get a whole new campaign, 4 new tanks, and a bunch of new weapons, and there was 5 of them. So you can pay $50 for about 6 new games into your thing, and they were amazing. They were fantastic. I love that game. It's so good, even today. And Celeste, the game, you paid, I believe it was $15, and they gave you an entirely new world and over 850 new levels.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's
yeah,
a
man,
lot.
there was a really interesting... Oh, Overwatch. Overwatch is a game that's kind of in the process of doing this.
Mhm.
Overwatch is usually pretty good about monetizing their game, keeping it just to cosmetics, but with this whole Overwatch 2 thing, people are like people are kind of divided. People say like it doesn't like guarantee it. There isn't enough content to release an entire new game. Another $60. They haven't released the price, but I'm assuming it'll be $60
Right.
out of your wallet. And basically, what they're planning on doing is adding a sort of Anthem style multiplayer where you play through a campaign, but you do it with several other people to go through the missions. And like they're planning on adding a few levels to that, but really that's kind of what they could just be adding in their events, because they do these events once a year where for the first year, 2 years, they were pretty interesting, but now it's literally just like it's not copy pasted, but it might as well be with how much content they're releasing. And they're really losing a lot of their fan base right now just because they keep making extreme changes to balancing and meta on an almost weekly basis. And this is what I've gathered. I've only been back in the community for about a week and a half.
Ugh. Yeah, I've heard a lot
it's a
of
whole
bad
ordeal.
things from Overwatch.
Yeah.
I remember the game.
And the thing about like Overwatch 2 is that it's not even like you're gonna have to buy the new game to play with the old Overwatch, because they're pretty much gonna all the changes to multiplayer and everything. It's gonna be compatible with Overwatch 1. The only
Right.
thing you're really getting out of Overwatch 2 is all these new the new campaign things. And it's like, is there gonna be enough campaign in this to justify 60 hours? Or
Yeah.
$60?
I do love the idea of having that kind of cross game compatibility, but at that point you're paying for the campaign. They better be good, because Overwatch's campaign for the first game was, I heard mixed things, but mostly good things.
I didn't really have a campaign, just events and such.
Yeah, but
But
I
yeah,
guess
no,
we'll see.
it's all right. It's fun. It's a good distraction from the base game modes.
Yeah, everyone hates Overwatch. Even people who play Overwatch hate it.
Yeah, tell me about it. That game really gone downhill lately.
I remember
Ever
when the
since they
first.
added like Echo and Sigma,
Yeah,
because I think what their main problem is that they wanted to keep releasing new content to keep the game fresh, and in doing that did it through like new characters. But there's only so many abilities you can add to a team shooting game. You can only like tanks. You give them shields. You give them a bunch of health. Well, what else can you do with that? And after like Wrecking Ball, they pretty much ran out of ideas, and they just started cherry picking old abilities and putting them together in different ways, and it ended up messing up the systems. I mean, Echo is literally just the old characters. Her ultimate ability, you just turn into one of the other characters.
right.
Like,
Yeah, you're out of ideas, buddy.
it really is.
And I think that's some of the big thing with games. Burnout, just not the game burnout, but running out of ideas and what to put into your game.
Exactly. How long do you think it'll take for that to happen to Valorant?
Give it a year. You know,
Yeah.
because with these sort of 3-on-3, 5-on-5 short circle kind of fighting games, especially shooting games like Overwatch and Valorant, it's the same thing. Like when Rainbow Six Siege came out, it was so cool. It was a slow, methodical process. It wasn't run and gun type thing.
Yeah.
But then the community died, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Mordhau actually just got a recent update, and that game, it's not too much out of ideas, but I mean that game died 6 months ago. It really was only in the limelight for about a year. But it's the other day they added this weapon. It's called a pole hammer, and it's basically one of the most hated weapons in the game, the maul, but on a giant stick, so it has huge reach on it.
Ugh.
And yeah, people aren't happy about it. I mean, some people are, but everything you add, you always have to account for that. There's going to be diverse reactions to whatever you add to a game.
Right. I think people's reaction at first is almost always negative. Like no matter what you do, it's like people are going to be mad about
People
it.
hate change.
But once it's in the game, either they love it or they really, really hate it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it took people a while to and I think that's another problem with the Overwatch community is people hate change in their games. They want to be able to hop on and feel like they know what they're doing, and they haven't the entire game hasn't been flipped on its head from last week.
Right.
TF2 is very good at that because their updaters haven't touched that game or the devs haven't touched the game in. I think we're counting on 400 days now without an update.
That game is so old. It's still so big.
Oh my god, it's been through so much too, between the bots, the hackers. They released somebody leaked the game files for it, and people were worried about hackers being able to get through the servers and like download files directly onto your computer just by opening the game.
Bruh.
But that's the thing, people can go on that game and be, it's still like the same meta, it's still the same strategy that it was 400 days ago.
Yeah.
Whereas Overwatch, you get on and they literally have they ban characters from competitive like every week.
Right.
And so like 1 week you'll be like, I want to try this strategy. Oh, the character's banned, And it's a double-bladed sword, because on higher level play, or lower level play, I don't know. But for some people, it makes it more interesting because, you don't get stuck in the same meta for months at a time. But on the other hand, you lose that feeling of familiarity, and I think it's about finding that golden mean between those two.
I understand entirely. And I find so interesting about, in particular, Team Fortress 2, this game is almost 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I think it is still one of the most popular games out there.
One of the best things when you that game is pretty gory. When you explode, your bits go everywhere. But they haven't updated the textures for the bits that you explode into, alongside the actual updates on the character textures.
Mm.
So when you die, you explode into an older version of yourself. Yeah, that game. That's the subreddit. It's always joking that the only person left on the dev team is the potted plants. Yeah, no, it's crazy because that was like the original. I mean, aside from Team Fortress 1, but that was one of the original like character shooter games. You push a payload, take up an objective.
Yeah, and like
there's a lot of characters from Overwatch that are pretty close to TF2 characters as well.
Yeah, I like something about the game that it's so simple. Like the heavy, the medic, the scout. Like it's not complicated. It's just funny. It's wonderful.
Exactly. Like the heavy's a communist, and he also really likes birds for some reason. Medic does not have a medical license, and he's probably violated the Geneva Convention in some way or another.
But it's okay. You don't worry about it. Yeah, I doubt that.
Game,
I doubt that game will ever die. Honestly.
Yeah, it's until the game files literally just break and all the servers shut down.
Yeah, well, at one point Valve will stop support, but hopefully not for a long time.
They've done a little bit recently. I think they made it so new players can't talk, so it basically kind of stops bot spam, because your bots can't spam chat until it's like 3 weeks old. But this also it discourages new players from joining because they can't see that weird heavy thing across the map and go, hey, what is that in the chat, and have it's harder to learn a game if you can't talk to people who are playing it.
Right, that's true. Well, I didn't know about that actually. I don't know. I think I'm the one person on Earth who hasn't played TF2.
Yeah.
I know about it a lot. I just haven't played the actual game, which is frustrating.
It's free. You can pretty much jump in anytime. It's still pretty fun these days,
Yeah,
Even if you're not that good at it, you can still just set up a sentry nest with a bunch of other people, and half of every server you come in nowadays, they don't even play the game. They literally just sit around and emote at each other. Man, isn't it crazy to think in 20 years you'll be talking with your kids or whatever, and it'll be like, hey, what did you play when you were little? And you'd be like, oh, we played this game called Minecraft, and they'll either say, oh yeah, I still play that, or they'll be like, what is that?
What's a mine?
So you're telling me you guys didn't just sit around and play I don't know, what video game do you think is gonna be in 20 years?
Fortnite 3.
Yeah. No, I hate to say it, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of games that are that are popular right now are games that have been around for a long time. Like those games that have this sort of eternal life to them. Minecraft, TF2, yeah. I would say even Portal. Portal is still huge.
The thing about Minecraft is I feel like there's an unlimited amount of things you can do in that game. Right. But there's only a specific amount of them that you really want to do and that don't take a humongous humongous amount of work and effort, and that's why I think you see that game gain popularity in kind of waves. Whenever there's a new update released or something big added to the game, then you see a few YouTubers come back, you see a couple of Let's Plays, and then once people have done the extent of that update, like you and me did the other day, where we spent 2 hours and we got full netherite gear, and it's pretty much all that update had to give us,
Yep.
and then it dies off for a few weeks or a few months until it gets another update. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few YouTubers coming back to the game pretty soon, just because the netherite update,
Yeah, a lot of streamers back on the subject and all that. And I think it's also a factor of nostalgia. In general, what defines nostalgia is around like 10 years, 8 to 10 years is a nostalgia.
Yeah, definitely cut that one out.
It's like a nostalgia spike, When people are like, man,
spike.
I really do miss that game and I want to go back to it, Right now, at the GameCube era, everyone wants GameCube games,
We just got Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
That was a GameCube game.
I didn't even play the original, and I've been enjoying it. Because, it really takes you back to time before you had to, learn complicated metas to play games, and, hell, sometimes even, excuse my language, even, certain platformers these days just get so complicated. If you look at, Mario, I didn't actually play Mario Odyssey in all fairness, but, there's all sorts of different new mechanics and everything you have to deal with. You play SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, full name there. It's just, you jump around, you slap robots with a sponge, a talking sponge.
That's the American dream. But
yeah, that's the American dream.
But I can see that. I think part of it has to do with indie game studios. Recently, people are like, man, remember hard games? And, there's been a huge spike in difficulty in games. I think a good example is, Cuphead, Celeste. That game is brutal.
Yeah.
Games
I definitely see where you're coming from there.
And I think it's a lot of good out of it, because these games are really fun, really satisfying, really difficult. But at the same time, I kind of miss just jumping around and slapping robots,
Yeah, definitely. And, there's also that third type of game where it's more based on creativity than difficulty,
Mm-hmm.
Games like Scrap Mechanic came, it had a bit of limelight recently, but pretty much died within 3 weeks of people finishing the rest of the update. It's really about content where these games get popular, an update comes out and there's more things to do in the game, but once you've done all the things, viewers stop watching,
Yeah,
you'll see creative games like Scrap Mechanic where all you really, there's different approaches to different problems, and Minecraft has a lot of this as well. You don't have to play a specific way. You can create your own style through just the things you build and the way you build them.
Right, and I think games that last long either have that kind of mechanic where you can take multiple routes to the same thing, or are just so chock full of content, it's like, well, I'm not done yet. Games like Skyrim, that's 400 something hours of content to do.
Yeah,
Skyrim
definitely.
is huge.
If I had enough time and patience, man, I would finish. I'm still only 10% through Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've been playing that game forever, but if I had enough time and enough patience, I would sit through that whole game and just explore all of ancient Greece.
I haven't played Odyssey. I haven't played any Assassin's Creed game. I should probably do that.
I've actually only played Odyssey, and I've heard it's very different from a lot of the other games.
Really?
It's more of a brawler than a stealth game.
Right. Well, I think that John is also dying a bit, the stealth game.
Yeah, it's been same with the zombie game. It's just been done up too much.
Yeah. The last stealth game that I recall seeing a major one of probably Metal Gear Solid 4 back in 2013, 2009, something like that.
Ooh, you know what get us a lot of views on this? If we talked about The Last of Us 2.
The Last of Us 2.
I didn't play either of them. The only experience I have with that game is I sat through a 2-hour podcast where they decided to do nothing that episode but talk about The Last of Us 2.
It's a game.
Yeah, no, that's a game. You can put it in the thumbnail now, though. Clickbait.
People are mad about that game, apparently.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's really the game isn't that bad, but what people are really upset with is that the writing is bad.
The story isn't good, apparently.
Yeah, is this I've heard the problem is that characters don't act the way that you would imagine them acting from the previous game and what they've been established about,
Mm.
and that the game diverges from some of its main themes very often, and it oftentimes overlooks plot holes, and that brings down the enjoyment for a lot of people for it.
Right, like a bad horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, like a bad horror movie.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a double-edged sword because people are waiting so long for this game, and a lot of folk are enjoying it, but a lot more folk are really not enjoying it.
Yeah, and waiting versus anticipation. We've been waiting on Cyberpunk 2077 since 2012. You know that?
Oh God, really?
And yeah, that game, it's been up in the public view for a really long
Yeah,
time. I
development
think they
hell.
announced that it was like E3 2012.
Ugh, yeah, development hell. Yeah, I know how it be sometimes.
Oh, and don't even get me started on the people waiting for Yandere, Dave. Yandere Simulator. Can't pronounce that.
It's not gonna happen. I'm just convinced at this
It's
point.
never gonna, that game.
Yeah, development hell is the worst thing, man. It's
Well, with
just
that game, it's more that the dev is too busy answering emails to program. Oh.
yeah, but I recall, like a lot of games that end up in this kind of cycle. What happens is like the kind of hype dies down because like that game came out a long time ago. The first one, who cares? A good example I think is a Duke Nukem.
Oh yeah.
In the
And
'90s.
that's made by the same people who made No Man's Sky. Or no, wait, no, I'm thinking of
Really or no?
no, I was thinking of Extreme something.
Mm,
It's another pun-based name.
of course. But the first Duke Nukem came out in the '90s, and it was huge. It was like a more irresponsible and teenager-focused Doom. It was awesome. However, it took the sequel, 3D, like a decade and a half to come out. And when it came out, like, who cares? At that point, nobody cared, and the audience for the game had all grown up already. So the kind of like childish, kind of pop slap humor didn't appeal to them anymore, and the game crashed horribly.
You know what kind of freaks me out in terms of that generational type gap?
Hmm.
You realize like YouTubers are getting old, man. Most of the YouTubers that
I've been
we grew up
thinking about
watching,
this. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like, are we still gonna be watching Gus Johnson when he's in his 40s or 50s? Is he gonna move on, or like there's it's just crazy to think about.
And like it's starting to happen too. Some
It really
YouTubers.
is.
Like if we look at the first generation of YouTubers, like God, that's a weird
They're
phrase.
in their 30s.
Yeah, YouTubers like Smosh, Ryan Higa, who else is that old? Gabby Hanna. Those YouTubers
Ethan
that
Klein
are
has had a kid, man.
Ethan Klein. That's a really big one. Ethan Klein, H3H3. That man is like, yeah.
Yeah.
And for some YouTubers like Gabby Hanna or Rosanna Pansino, it's worked out. They have cooking deals. They have their own shows. For others, like for example, Tobuscus, Ryan Higa, Stampy Cat, they're just dead in the water. Oops. They're just dead in the water, And like Ryan Higa, like I believe right now he's just there. Like he's not doing much. iDubbbz another good example.
Well, iDubbbz, he has an audience.
That's true.
It's more of a matter of neglect, and there are good examples like Cold Ones. Those guys, like they're pretty old. They're getting up there. They're the OGs, and they make tons of money just sitting around and drinking.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But what I find, iDubbbz has always been a point of interest to me because out of the three, Joji, and
Max
Max
Mofo.
Mofo. Like Max Mofo runs Cold Ones now, right?
Yeah, with anything for views.
Yeah, and they get good money.
They really do.
Joji is fine. He's an international superstar.
Yeah, his music's pretty good.
And
his new music.
His new. But iDubbbz like hasn't changed. Nothing has happened to him in the past decade. It's just iDubbbz still. And I feel like one day that will just wear off.
Yeah, but I don't think it ever will, because he's posted like in the past year, 2 years, maybe 4 or 5 videos, but every single one of those videos hits 1 million, 2 million flat. It's like supply versus demand,
That's true.
People want to see their old cringy fella with a fake European accent like jumping around on stage, but they don't want to see it like I bet you that's more of a factor that it's really about supply versus demand. Because if you see YouTubers like VoiceOver Pete, man, he makes like he puts out content a lot,
Yeah.
but he's dead in the water because his meme died, you know.
Yeah, that's something
And
I
I
also take
bet you
note of a
if like
lot.
he posted maybe one video a year of just him asking for the credit card details of random Fortnite players, then people probably his meme wouldn't have died out as fast. And people are eventually going to stop watching all these people, because they'll either die out or lose popularity or something. But if you spread it out more, like iDubbbz has, you can probably retain your audience for a lot longer.
Yeah, I have noticed that. I think a great example, an amazing example, is Sky does Minecraft. You know,
Really?
I noticed recently because his channel started back up. He like a year, like 4 months ago, but nobody cares. What happened, I feel like, with him was that, for me at least, at one point he was pumping out a video every day, a 25-minute video every day, every day, every day, and there was just tons of new series, and he was killing off old ones, and like he became more of a money machine than a YouTuber, you know.
Yeah.
And he died, and he went off air for like a decade, and he came back about 4 months ago. His videos, even though he still has 12.5 million subscribers on his channel, his videos don't get more than 80K usually, and he
Yeah,
uploads like
and
once every week.
I feel like YouTube has a lot to do with that because a lot of these YouTubers that made their money in their heyday, like iDubbbz, Georgie, and all that, they can pretty much skate off interests for the rest of their life. They don't have to make views or videos to really
That's true.
survive. I mean, if they're smart with their money, but if you live a really unsustainable lifestyle when you're up in the high lines like that,
Like Sky
when you
does
really
Minecraft,
come
yeah.
come out of popularity, you have to pump out videos every day because that's just how YouTube's algorithm works.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of have to shotgun and see what lands.
Yeah, I think a good example is also Jack's Films.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah.
he's in his mid 30s, and his content is just the same thing. You know, Furry's bad, Garfield good,
I
Shrek
feel like
good.
Jack's Films is smart enough, just to get on though.
Yeah,
He could
he's very
probably
smart.
be.
It's just like his audience is the same thing. Like it's hard to attract new people when the jokes are the same every video.
I gotta say, he does have a very loyal and committed audience, though. Those people that have been with him since, 2015, they're
Oh
still with
god.
him.
And like
Very high retention.
you know the people who work with him a lot, like like the pages work with him a lot. Like you know
Yeah.
those people on Twitter who are always responding, you know their names now. Like they're kind of famous too because of Jack's Films, but still. I just like I realized like man, this is the same stuff over and over again. He's been here for what 14 years now, and it's like it's just
You
I
know,
don't
you know,
know.
there's a really, really good example of this in internet comment etiquette.
Oh my
Because
god.
his entire channel is pretty much based on the same joke. He
Right.
goes in, he acts like he's like trying to help you with internet comment etiquette. Then he goes in and on a YouTube comment or on a video, he says something absurd and eventually flies off the rails with it.
Right.
And that happens in almost every single video. It's all the same joke. But he releases a video maybe once a month. And excuse me, this one video, usually he tries to change up the theme of the video, the overall message. He introduces new characters and stuff. He really tries his best to keep it fresh because he probably knows that his entire channel is based on that one joke, and he pretty much does keep it fresh.
Yeah,
Aside
like
from the 4 videos he uploaded in 4 days a few months ago because the
ugh.
sponsorships were all running out.
Yeah, but whenever his video pops on, I always watch it. You know, because
Oh yeah, definitely.
it's Eric. He's hilarious. And I think yeah, supply and demand's a big thing. A good example again is Michael Reeves. That's huge. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
He uploads once every month, but his videos get usually 6 million plus and over 1 million likes every time. He
Yeah.
went
No,
on
definitely.
he went on Twitch for the first time last week, and for his first stream, he had 34,000 viewers, which is
Wow.
crazy. His first
That,
stream.
yeah.
People were so deprived for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the internet like that where they're like, you really want to see more of them, but they themselves realize that if they eventually made their own channels or went out on their own, they would probably lose their main gimmicks pretty fast.
Yeah.
And, like, most of the time, this is like side characters, like man, I hate to say it, the edgelord Psychic Pebbles, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He like posts maybe on his channel once every 2 years. He posts so incredibly rarely, but you know, you still get him on like Oni Plays and all that. You can still access fairly decent content to him, and I'm sure he still makes a decent monetization from his own channel.
Right.
But he doesn't wear out his welcome.
And like whenever they do show up, it's like, oh my god, he uploaded. You know, it's like, oh my god, it's time. Like Vsauce, for example. Oh my god. Like whenever he uploads, I'm there instantly. It's Vsauce.
Yeah, you should I really hope that Psychic Pebbles show gets greenlit on Adult Swim, man. It actually looks pretty good. I've watched the pilot episode. I mean, and it's, if he gets that through, that really will open up a lot of horizons for the old people who are just aging on YouTube to find a new platform, you know?
Yeah. It is kind of
especially the animators
sad.
who have always had it tough on YouTube, man.
Animation,
hard.
yeah, from like 2013 to 2016, it was dead in the water. Like animation was a dead market. I think YouTubers like Odd Ones Out, Jane Animations revived it pretty heavily.
The main reason this is, though, is because animation, like decent animation that isn't like 1 or 2 frames like the Odd Ones Out and just played in like it's 1 or 2 frames a minute.
Right.
If you see like good animation, it's usually extremely hard to do, you know.
Oh yeah.
And it's impractical to make an animation that's longer than 2 minutes, you know. And that's the thing, you can't, if you made an animation that was 10 minutes long, 12 minutes long, you'd be spending weeks or months on it, you know.
I think a good example.
YouTube's algorithm will not support that.
Right, like Busy Pop, Has Been Hotel, all those. Like you've seen the memes for that Has Been Hotel and all that.
A little bit. I'm not too up to date on the situation there.
Yeah, but pretty much it's a half. Only one episode. It's a pilot episode. It's a half-hour, fully animated, fully colored, fully voice acted, fully like musically centered episode of this show that they want to produce. It took them 3 years to make the pilot, and people are demanding episode 2. And she's saying, like, you know, we can't afford to do episode 2. The video got 12 million views, and they couldn't cover the costs, even with Patreon, even with everything else for the first episode. So like the show was like dead in the water, but people want more so badly, but it's dead. You know.
And that's why the animated shows, they really need network support.
They do.
And if Psychic Pebbles animation gets through, that just opens the avenue for so many more animators who are really talented
to make that move.
Incapacitated. Yeah, they'll get through, you know.
That would be nice. I think YouTube, like, who said it? I think it was, I want to say it was Eddie Burback. He said YouTube is more of a jumping platform to other places. You don't stay on YouTube. And I think that's a good motto to go by.
And you know, eventually, like, all these people who are like 10 years old on YouTube right now, they'll become the popular ones, and like Eddie Burback, just Gus Johnson, I'm sure they'll jump to television.
Wouldn't that be nice? Or I guess something, because TV is dying a lot, actually.
See, TV is dying, but it's got something that like YouTube can't do, and that's it can pay for a lot, because, you know, you watch YouTube, you get 1 or 2 ads. The most, like, in the YouTuber itself makes what, a cent for every 100 views.
Something like
so that. But you know, you go on YouTube, on TV, you see like 10 ads per show.
You're making $60K an episode sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and so it's a lot more sustainable, and not. I mean, the older generations are eventually going to die out, but there's still a wide audience for TV. The technological gap in the world is still pretty large across generations, and TV is just a lot more popular than virtual devices, you know?
Right, yeah, I see what you mean. I just, you know, it's all in the air still. It's a long time from, not really, it's like 7-8 years from now when something has to happen, or else we're going to see a major death in YouTubers, which would be very sad.
Yeah. I'm honestly, the way YouTube treats a lot of platforms these days, they just don't treat their creators right. And I bet you, like, eventually people just get sick of it and they'll go to like Vimeo or something, and it'll just like the reason people haven't done this already is because YouTube keeps the like upper scale YouTubers in their back pocket. You know, they allow them to do pretty much whatever they want. Same with Twitch. And what's going to happen is it'll eventually get to a point where YouTube can't even like give them their specific rights to freedom of speech and all that. And it'll get, and they'll move over. And once the big YouTubers and the big streamers move to Mixer or Vimeo, or Mixer's gone.
Yeah, I'm about to bring that up actually.
But once they move, these old platforms will die. You know.
See, I partially believe it, but I have a feeling it won't. You know, because Mixer made a huge move, bringing over Shroud and Ninja over to their platform. You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
but then nothing happened. Like nobody else came over, and Mixer died within a year. I think what'll really do it is because like Ninja and Shroud, they have
Tyler Blevins.
They have big fan bases, but they're not dedicated fan bases. You know.
Yeah.
Like they can leave. They can go watch another Fortnite streamer, another streamer. I think if YouTube, if a platform like Vimeo or Dailymotion can bring YouTubers that are medium sized and have a very strong fan base, ones like Vsauce, Jax Films, HDH3, iDubbbz, YouTubers who have an audience that's very passionate for them, then I can imagine a platform like that being able to take away channels that are much bigger than that. They can actually make that shift. Because like if Vsauce is on Vimeo, I'm going to Vimeo. You know, it's Vsauce. I'm not gonna miss out on that content. But,
and there are a lot of those communities, you know, like there might be a couple huge YouTubers that'll pull in 7 million views a video, but you know, for every one YouTuber that'll do that, there's 7 smaller YouTubers that'll bring 1 million views per vid, you know.
Exactly.
And if you can get those smaller ones, then I see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, you know, because like I think a good thing with PewDiePie, I can watch that kind of content anywhere. I can go watch Markiplier, Crank Gameplays, Jacksepticeye, Captain Sparkles, Sunday. I can go on for hours, you know. But like the more unique and the more content that you like because of a certain style, like Gus Johnson's humor or iDubbbz' raunchy comedy, like that's the kind of stuff you find trouble replicating, you know. Or Donkey.
And, you know, a lot of those specific videos, the problem that they don't take in YouTube is that they're too short for the algorithm to work. So if Vimeo came up with an algorithm that figured out ways to censor out, like, to help smaller, shorter videos gain popularity, then they could really have that advantage over YouTube.
That would be insane. Because, you know, the 10-minute rule. Like, if they find a way around that, that's huge. That's, like, platform-defining changes, you know?
But it's easier said than done, because, you know,
that's true.
The whole reason that this whole 10-minute rule was implemented was because of the reply girls who would just steal each other's content or steal other content, you know.
Exactly. Quentin, give me a sec. Out of the restroom real fast.
What now?
Give me a sec. Out of the restroom real fast.
Okay.
1 second. Okay. Oh, that'd be. Okay, cool.
Alright, we're back. So as I was saying, so like the reply girls, it's you've got to find a way to censor out copyright content and stop the stealing of content. And once you do that, then you can have a system where shorter videos can thrive and gain popularity, you know?
Right. A lot of videos that have those gargantuan views, because for YouTube you'd have at least, I believe it's 10,000 views in general and 1,000 hours of watch time before you can apply for monetization. But a lot of
Really?
yeah, that's the rule. It's
Wow.
ridiculous. I had to go through it, and it was not fun. And
You've monetized the channel?
yeah,
Oh, really? I didn't
yeah,
know that.
I have like 34,000 subs on my channel.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but even with that, a lot of videos that are like 10, 15 seconds long have like 40 million views. Oftentimes they don't get that view time even with that giant video, so they can't monetize. They can't monetize a viral video. And even like for example, let's say um on January 1st, you had a video go viral. It went big. Awesome. I can now apply for to get monetized. It'll still take 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks for it'll go through. So in
Wow.
that time, when you're popular, you can't make a penny. It took me
Wow.
it took me 48 days to get monetized on my channel.
Wow.
It's
That's crazy.
insane.
Yeah. Dang. And doesn't that have to do with viewer retention as well? Because if you're striving to meet that 10-minute mark, you're obviously putting filler in there, you know? And if people don't want to sit and watch through fillers, they're going to watch less of your video.
Yeah, you want to make sure you can actually see the entire thing, that the viewer seeing most of the video.
Because YouTube doesn't care if you really pump out a 10-minute video. I mean, they do. But they also care that you can sustain a 10-minute video and entertain for an entire 10 minutes.
Exactly. They don't want to see that they're there for like half the time and drop out. I want to see at least like 8.5 minutes there, like almost the entire time. Yeah, it's picky with monetization. And if you have older videos that don't meet their new standards, they won't monetize you. So you have to go and get rid of them and then reapply and wait 45 more days.
Yeah. Did you ever hear about the time YouTube specifically tried to kill the trend for Minecraft videos and Let's Plays?
Really?
Because it fit into the algorithm perfectly. You can make a 10-minute Let's Play easy. Like, you can get tons and tons of hours of content out of that, where people like be retained for that entire video, and you can demand someone's attention for 10 minutes because you're just sitting there playing Minecraft, and it's easy to make. You can make those daily, and it was pretty much like clogging up the trending tab. And so I want to say it was like 2015 or 2017, somewhere around there. YouTube pretty much went through there and just started like removing videos that were Minecraft and other Let's Plays because they thought that it would just clog up the platform.
Dang. Well, yeah, YouTube does a lot with trending. I've noticed because trending, the views don't matter. It's what YouTube determines is popular.
There was a petition. A few months ago to change the trending tab to the staff picks tab.
Staff picks.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Because I understand why. If it was just based on views per time, like every single day you would see some kind of prayer video or like some kind of like just bad commentary thing on top of the on the tab. Like you would see like a lot of T-series videos on there, a lot of like large corporations that are pooping out clips and songs, which would kind of ruin the feel of the trending tab, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like a very complicated ecosystem because there's so many people in it at all times, and there's so much data and everything to account for that if you make a simple change, like you make a 10-minute deadline, then it'll just have drastic effects down the line. It's the butterfly effect.
Right.
And so and it's not like we've had digital information for hundreds of years, like people have had with the print. You can't just go through and predict the effects that these changes are going to make. So you have to, it's just trial and error.
Yeah, YouTube is still brand
better through the years.
Yeah, YouTube is still brand new, it's still a brand new platform, really. So, like, it's just hard.
Yeah, and to think it's been, 15, 20 years since it's been out?
Yeah, how long is, 15 years, around there.
Yeah. And, it'll take, another 15, 20 years before they get it down, and they make an environment that's good for all creators.
And at that point, who knows what's going to actually be alive still,
Because, that's what the YouTube just needs to focus on, because it's all about the creators. You know, they're creators. It's pretty much they make money off of other people doing things and putting it online. It's the creators who's making them their money.
Right. They rely on that.
And they're really just too big to fail.
Yeah, honestly. It's just
Monopolies.
It do be a monopoly though.
It really does.
All right, I think we've reached the 45-minute mark.
Yeah, no, we've been here for a while. You can thumbnail this Left 4 Dead 2 plus some other stuff. Yeah.
All right.
That'll get you to trending. All right, goodbye, everyone.
All right,
it's been fun.
This has been
practice your French.
Yep. All right, adios, fellas.
Adios.